ecer2009, the podcasts. This interview is with Tina Hascher from the University of Salzburg in Austria.
Morning. We are here at the conference of ecer2009, and we have with us Mrs.
Tina Hascher.
Tina Hascher. Can you please introduce yourself so people can know more things about you?
Mm-hmm. I'm currently a professor at the University of Salzburg. I'm working there at the Department of Science and Education. I'm now for 4 years in Salzburg, and before that time I used to work at the University of Bern in Switzerland and specialized on teacher education. But now I'm in the educational department and doing a lot of research about school learning, emotion and learning, teacher and school learning, learning and instruction. These are my main topics.
Oh, very, very interesting. And here in the conference, is this the first time you attend this conference?
No, I've been once. I think it was 3 years ago at ESA when it was in Geneva. Maybe it's 4 years, 3 or 4 years. Because usually I attend the early conference. This is the European Association of Research in Learning and Instruction. Okay. Because I'm very close to this scientific community. And these twice a year, so to go to 2 international and very, very big conferences in a year, that's sometimes a bit hard. I did it this year, but usually I think it's, there are a lot of local conferences as well. So if you want to, work and if you want to do research, autumn is a very good time for doing that. But in this time, all the conferences take place, so sometimes you have to decide where to go. And so because, these both conferences, they are not the same, and I think it's good that we have both, but sometimes I have to decide where to go.
So you made the perfect choice.
Well, this time.
Here in the conference, we have you at the program as a keynote speaker. It's a great pleasure for all of us to have you here. But as you know, we have many parallel sessions, so people couldn't have the opportunity just to come and listen to what you're doing, what your research now. And people would like to know some things about your research, what you presented here. And that is a great possibility for them to have this knowledge.
So you want a short version of my presentation yesterday,
short
right?
version, main topics, because I really would like to know, personally also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the presentation was divided into 4 steps. The first step was to explain the term emotion, because emotion is, a very heterogeneous term. We have more than 100 definitions of the term emotion. So I try to explain what our emotions are about and how complex they are. We now know that they have different components. For example, physiological component and a motivational component, a cognitive one. And I try to introduce this very interesting but very complex phenomenon to the audience. And then I switch to the question what we know already about the research about learning and emotion. So that's interesting because for very many years, research about learning concentrated on the cognitive aspects. Then there are some trends of integrating motivational question, and emotions were for a long time neglected in research on learning. Also, we have a kind of forethinkers or forefathers like the Greek philosophers who knew that the cognitive development and the emotional development are linked, intertwined. So, but now we can look back to, for example, mood research. Mood research induces special mood to persons in an experimental laboratory setting. And then they try to find out if it makes a difference if people are in a good mood or in a bad mood, in terms of learning outcomes and the learning process, for example, how you proceed the information you get. I introduced some theories about that because there are some interesting theories about mood research, and then I asked, what can we learn from this research to research in school learning, and how are there are totally different research fields. If you do experimental research in the laboratory on the one hand, and on the other hand you have the classroom, the multicultural, huge heterogeneity of students. You have all these non-cognitive aspects coming into the classroom, the social aspects. And I try to explain what we can learn or what we can take from this research to think about classroom learning. And then I added this information by taking explicit information or adding information about classroom learning and emotion, the connections, what we already know. And then I referred to my own research, of course, because we did a lot of research about well-being, about learning and emotion during the learning process, about anxiety. So that's where my own research flow into the presentation.
And the basic results from this, have any clue about what are the most important things that really can make the students in classroom to feel more comfortable in learning? What was the best emotional that emotion that they have to learn to be more positive in learning?
So maybe 3 aspects are important. Usually emotions are closely detached to appraisal or cognitive processes. And in one study we could show that these appraisal change very quickly during making a test or during performing in the classroom. So these appraisals are open for stimulation and for change, and then the emotion can change. So I think that's an important thing, that why are students thinking about their own performance and their own learning? You can also help them feel better, which in turn supports the learning process.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The second thing is that we all know these school children starting school, these small children always, oh yes, I can go to school, yes, I can learn, and I'm a school child. But as soon as they enter school, they lose their kind of positive pre-attitudes towards school. And this decrease is relatively severe, I think, and especially in early adolescence you find this decrease as well. So I think one of the most problematic processes of development is that the positive attitude of the children is influenced negatively by the learning setting of school. So we are not able to use these positive emotions, these positive attitudes for our intention of educating and supporting the development of children. So I think we have to do something against this negative environment. It's not
something
so bad, of course,
but something to support it, to make it more positive.
Exactly. Just use this positive entrance emotion for the whole process, and of course that's
to
difficult.
Continue in this way.
Yeah,
something
it would
like
be easy
this.
just to try to stabilize. I don't know if that word is in English.
Have you seen the factor of groups learning? So many studies from my research show that when students are in groups, they have this feedback from their other students, from their friends, and they feel more comfortable with this because they say, okay, if I don't know this, it will be another student that can support me in this, and they're more relaxed. They don't have so much stress, and now it's a good approach. I do that in my classes to have this group working. What do you say about this?
Well, basically you can rely on the motivational theory by DC and Ryan, the two American colleagues, and they pointed out that we have the idea of 3 basic psychological needs, and we can use this idea perfectly for schooling. We have the need for autonomy. We want to learn on our own, want to decide what to learn. Not always, but use these small spaces of own decision making. Then we have the desire of social embeddedness. That's what you meant by the group work. And we have the desire for growing competence. We want to feel competent. Nobody wants to feel incompetent in school.
Yes, of course.
But that's one of the main, I think maybe one of the main information a lot of people get, or a lot of pupils, students get from the teachers. You are not competent.
Yes.
So basically it would be helpful to fulfill or try to fulfill these needs. And one of my PhD students now did a study on learning enjoyment and the decrease during adolescence. Wow, and they linked it to this theory of basic needs. And she could confirm that the students evaluate their learning environment as not fulfilling their needs, and as a consequence, the learning enjoyment decreases. It's not always that clear, but the connection, the relationship is quite strong.
And it's also good to know that it's nice not to be competitive. When you're at school, you must you have to feel that you're autonomous, as you said, and you know that what the purpose that you are there. You must understand that you are there for learning, for sharing, and not to be competitive. That's why I see when they are in these teams, I like because they're relaxed and they see that they have good relationship between them, and it's not all about I will take the best grades and you will not do that. But we all together want to give our best of ourselves.
But I think if you take that really very seriously, you have to change, not just to implement some possibility of cooperative learning. You have to change the learning setting as a whole. So that cooperative learning is possible during maybe the whole school day, not just as a didactical nice to have, and just if everybody is bored, I do some cooperative work to make them more.
If you have exactly, it's all. The whole concept must must change,
and it challenges teachers because they lose some form of control over learning, over processes, over learning contents, over learning time maybe, I think that's very important for teacher education, and teacher education is not a good indicator and not a good representative. For cooperative learning. If you look at teacher education, it's quite a classical form of educating people.
And if you see our society is also very competitive, you see.
Of course.
And but I think that if you start with being in this collaborative spirit, atmosphere in learning, this is something that you will treasure for all your life, and you will then our society can be different, and we can change this. And it will be better, I think, from this reality today.
From my point of view, we have to look for a positive attitude towards learning in school. What you meant was competitiveness. I mean, that's only outcome orientated, and that's fine as well. It's not all bad, but if you develop an aversive attitude towards learning, and only learning outcome counts, then that's kind of weakness for the whole life. If you don't like learning, you won't learn when you go out of school. So if we don't support students in keeping or developing positive attitudes towards learning, it's kind of ruin for the whole biography. So that's why the emotional side is important, because we know things which are liked, which evoke positive, that means pleasure, pleasant emotion, that those situations, we go into into those situations, we like those situations, and we are kind of attached to those situations.
Yes, exactly.
Because we have as well a kind of basic need to feel good. Nobody wants to feel bad. So
Yes.
if we are in a bad situation, usually, and we feel bad, we try to get rid of the bad feeling, and usually we try to get rid of the situation. In school we can escape, so we have to be there, but we escape mentally by not attending,
yes.
not participating, just sitting there and
Be
waiting
absent.
until of
Yes,
course,
be absent
yeah,
in reality.
physically there but mentally absent. So if we think about lifelong learning, if we think about our society as a high educated society,
It's another mentality.
yeah, we
Yes.
must keep the persons to the learning processes and to the positive attitudes towards learning.
I keep the interest alive.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
keep the interest alive
Yeah.
for all these years. Yes.
You know, learning is not always fun. It can't be always fun. Learning is hard. Learning
needs sacrifice.
yeah, a lot of discipline, a lot of exercises, and sometimes it's really not fun. But if you then add not having a good attitude towards learning, was not experiencing fun, that's awful. Who wants to
Yes,
learn?
totally.
Yeah.
Because mostly you must love it. It's if you don't love it, you don't do it.
Or at least like it.
Yes.
At least like it. Not
At
maybe
least
not
like
love it.
Yes. But if it is, lifelong learning, you must love it. If
Yeah,
you really want to
yeah.
learn.
And you have to have a positive learner self-concept. Well, if you are always confronted with negative experiences or, not positive experiences, your academic self-concept is not very good. So you don't feel good as a learner, in a role of a learner.
Yes,
So
I'm
that's
with you.
even worse.
And that's why a teacher has a really great role in this. Because even if you like it or if you love it, if it is someone else who tells you you're not capable or you need more or you must do more, okay, it can breaks your wings a little bit and you cannot continue. They must always encourage you that you can do
true.
better.
Yeah.
It's important. That's why we say also the educators have a really very important role in.
I think so too.
Yes.
One of my colleagues just mentioned that it would be helpful for teachers to develop a kind of style which is called emotional scaffolding. So we know now that from research that teachers' emotions as well influences students' emotions and student learning, because teachers who don't like learning so much, they are not very supportive. They are teaching the instruction at very teacher centered. They look on outcomes only, not on the learning process. But on the other hand, if you have a student which is not very successful or is bored about that, you have to support those students, and you have to
process.
and you have to develop possibilities to strengthen the students to cope with their emotions as well. So emotion regulation for students during the learning process is very important. If you work on a task and sometimes you really think, oh, I can't do that, it's too difficult, or it's boring, or I'm not interested, you always have, you have to talk with yourself, come on, go on, we have to do that, and so on. So these regulation strategies are very important as well.
And you must have a talent as a teacher, always to present things in the best way, so that the people can have this motivation in the first minute to discover what is this that we will do today. This is very nice. It's the first thing to catch the attention of the student. To be motivated from the first minute.
I'm not sure if talent.
I don't know.
Is
I don't know.
the critical or the crucial component. let's say it's competence.
Yes,
so
it's competence.
We can
yes.
agree, and
Yes.
we don't have to discuss how much is born and,
Yes,
and
you're right.
innate and what all is learned. Because
Yes,
I think
you're right.
a lot of competencies can be learned. Maybe some people can't learn something, but I think most things can be learned.
I think all the people that will listen to this interview will learn a lot of things. Yes, really. The thing is that it's nice when you talk to people that can have and they have something to say. That it's, all the people have students who have daughters, sons,
Of course,
people, students in school. They are really interested in this kind of discussions because I think that this is something that many people have discussed in their daily life, and they have.
It's an everyday topic, of course.
Yes, it's an everyday topic. So thank you so much about this discussion. I would like to see you also in future in another conference.
Yeah, I will.
To give us your advice, some new results from your research.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much about this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This recording was made at the ECER conference in Vienna in September 2009. It is a Pontedusky and VetNet production for ECER. The program is licensed under a Creative Commons non-commercial attribution share-alike license.